The proof of authority is a consensus mechanism used by the VeChain blockchain. And before we explain it, let's first explain what is a consensus mechanism at the first place. Any blockchain in the world needs a way to reach agreement between its validators on who has the right to add a new block and what transactions get added to the blockchain. To reach this agreement between validators, we use something called a consensus mechanism. The word consensus means the majority agreeing on something, and the mechanism is the way or method we use to reach that agreement. The Bitcoin blockchain uses the proof of work consensus mechanism. In proof of work, the computers are racing against each other to try to solve a difficult math problem. And the computer that solves it first gets the right to add his block to the blockchain and gets rewarded with Bitcoin. Other computers verify his block and then accept it. This is known as mining. In this proof of work mechanism, any computer can join the network and try to solve this math problem. So, most proof of work blockchains are permissionless, meaning that you don't need permission from anybody to join the network to verify transactions and add new blocks. But still, solving this math problem is not easy at all. It uses a lot of electricity, it takes a lot of time, and it requires very powerful devices. And the computer or miner with the most powerful hardware has the highest chance of solving it first. So to solve the problems of proof of work, we have proof of stake with much faster transactions, lower fees, and lower electricity and power usage. In proof of stake, to join the network as a validator and have the chance to add new blocks and get rewarded, you need to lock up a large amount of tokens as a collateral for any misbehavior. Locking up tokens in a proof of stake system is called staking, and usually there is a minimum amount of tokens you need to stake. Anyone can stake this amount and join the network without permission from anybody. So most proof of stake systems are permissionless. After that, the network randomly chooses a validator to add the new block and get the reward, but most of the time, the larger the amount of tokens you stake, the higher your chance of getting chosen by the network. After a validator is chosen, it adds its block, and other validators vote on this new block, either accepting it or denying it. If it was discovered that the validator is approving fraudulent transactions or doing anything shady, he gets slashed, which means that it loses some or all of its staked tokens. So that is simply how proof of stake works. The proof of authority, on the other hand, tries to modify a bit on the idea of the proof of stake. So instead of having your tokens at stake, you have your reputation at stake in proof of authority. Welcome to Cryptobie, where we explain cryptocurrencies and DeFi topics in the most simple and beginner-friendly way. In this video, you will know what is the proof of authority and how it works, and finally, we will talk about some advantages and limitations of proof of authority. In proof of authority, there is a group of chosen trusted validators, meaning that validators have to get permission from somebody to join the network, unlike the proof of work and the proof of stake, where anyone can join. This makes most proof of authority blockchains permission blockchains. You may be wondering, from who do these validators get the permission to join the network? Well, most of the time they get it from the project's leadership team or the company developing the blockchain in the case of private blockchains. To get approved as a validator in a proof of authority network, validators are required to reveal their true identities to the team, unlike proof of work and proof of stake, where you can be anonymous if you want. So whether this validator is an individual or a company, they need to reveal who they really are. So when they apply for being a validator, they are required to submit a lot of KYC or Know Your Customer documents, like the passport or the national ID for individuals and the registration cards for businesses. Then, the leadership team will check these documents, and then they can either accept or deny the application. So, remember when we said that in proof of stake validators stake their tokens? Here it is said that validators stake their identities. The idea here is that the project's team know who these validators really are, and most of the time, they accept trusted individuals and big companies with good reputation. So it is unlikely that these companies or individuals will try to attack the network or approve invalid transactions or anything like that, as everyone will know what they did, and it will destroy their reputation. It may even reach the court in some cases. In VeChain, for example, the validators who verify transactions and add new blocks are called authority nodes, and they need to also stake a minimum of 25 million VET tokens in addition to the other KYC documents we talked about. It should be noted here that in VeChain, the team that chooses the validators is called the steering committee, and it gets elected by all the validators on the VeChain network. After a validator is accepted, it can join the network and start adding new blocks to the blockchain. What happens is that with each new block, the network will randomly pick a validator to add the new block and get its reward. So you can't know or guess who will add the next block or the block after it before it gets added. After the validator verifies the transactions and adds the new block, other validators will check the block, verify that everything is okay, and no invalid transactions were approved, and then it will accept the new block. Most of the time, there is a team monitoring the performance of all validators. If a validator is found doing anything shady like accepting fraudulent transactions or anything that can hurt the network, the team can remove the validator from the network and replace it with another one immediately. You may be thinking that this mechanism is centralized compared to other mechanisms. Well, you are right, it is certainly more centralized compared to proof of work and proof of stake. The thing is that, yes, there may be many validators in proof of authority. In VeChain, for example, there are 101 validators, and to attack the network, you have to control or manipulate 52 validators, which is near impossible, as they are different companies and individuals all over the world. But still, the authority to choose who gets in the network is centralized in the hands of the team that chooses and removes the validators. That is why the proof of authority is mostly used by businesses building their private blockchains that care more about the speed and security than they care about decentralization. It is also used by some Ethereum test nets like Kavin, Goerli, and Cryptobie. If you don't know what is a test net, it is simply a playground for developers to test their applications before they launch them on the main Ethereum network. You should know here that all coins and tokens on a test net are worthless. They don't have any value like the normal tokens on a main network. Let's now talk about some advantages of the proof of authority. First of all, there is no mining, so it uses low electricity and power compared to proof of work. Another thing is that proof of authority blockchains can process transactions very fast, which means that they have a high throughput. Throughput simply is the number of transactions the blockchain can process in 1 second. The Bitcoin network, for example, can process on average 5 transactions per second. Ethereum can do about 13 transactions per second. Both of them use proof of work, but VeChain, on the other hand, uses proof of authority, and the highest number of transactions per second recorded was 165. Also, like what we have said earlier, proof of authority blockchains have a high resistance against the 51% attacks, as it is almost impossible to be able to control 51% of the chosen trusted validators, as these validators include separate big companies and individuals in different places in the world. As for the limitations of proof of authority, most of them are quite obvious. It is centralized compared to other mechanisms like proof of work and proof of stake. It usually has a lower number of validators, and not everybody can have the reputation to be a validator on the network. So it is difficult for most normal people to join the network as validators, which makes the proof of authority not suitable for public decentralized blockchains. The speed alone can't justify the use of proof of authority in most cases. For example, some proof of stake blockchains like Algorand can achieve 1,000 transactions per second, while still being fairly decentralized. So, as we see it, the use case for proof of authority that makes the most sense is its use in private enterprise blockchains, where the business cares a lot about the security and the speed of the blockchain more than anything else. At the end of this video, we hope you learned what you need to know about the proof of authority and how it works, and if you liked our video and want to reward our hard work, hit the like button, comment if you have any questions, and subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss our new videos. Thanks for watching.